But we're going to talk before we open it up for questions from the audience. We're going to talk about 2016 and the presidential race because as we sit here today, our former governor is about to announce for president.
Yes.
Are you going to say to me about the presidential race what you said to me about other elections in 2016? I'm not playing. Are you going to get into that race? A lot of people in that race you know, a lot of choices. It's a little bit like going to a frozen yogurt place, a lot of flavors to choose from this year. What are you going to do in that race?
You know, it's really interesting, Evan, and I bet I can speak for everyone watching and everyone in this room.
Yeah.
When we grow up as kids,
Yeah.
we look at a president as someone we'd never meet.
Yeah.
Someone in our school book.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd meet a president.
Right.
And through my years in television and radio and in politics, I ended up actually meeting a few presidents. Went to the White House when I was a broadcaster in D.C., went to the White House a few times, and that was beyond my wildest dreams. I'd actually meet a president.
Yep.
Well, now beyond my wildest dreams is that I know 5 people running for president.
I can't believe it's not more than 5. It's just fun.
Well,
just
I mean, I know 5 fairly well, and 3 are good friends.
Right.
I mean, Rick Perry's a good friend.
Mike
Ted Cruz is
Huckabee.
a good friend. Mike Huckabee's a good friend.
Right. You know Jeb
I know
Bush.
Jeb Bush.
You know Jeb Bush.
I mean, he came and testified before my education
on the
committee.
education stuff, right?
So I know Jeb pretty well. Governor Bush. I've gotten to know Scott Walker a little. I know Rick Santorum pretty well. So I know a lot of these guys.
So will you have a favorite? Will you have a preference in this race? Do you have a preference?
I will make a decision, and most likely help one at the right time. And that's probably later in the fall.
Not now, but at some point early enough to make a difference.
Yeah, I want to go out and work for our nominee and work for the person I think will be the best president. My main concern is that we have a president, a nominee, who is either from Texas or loves Texas and has Texas roots. And so the list I gave you, obviously Rick Perry, Ted Cruz are from here. Jeb Bush has connections.
Rand Paul, Scott Walker.
Well, Scott Walker doesn't have the.
I'm sorry, Rand Paul and Carly Fiorina.
Yeah, and Rick Santorum now has his business here. Mike Huckabee next door spend a lot of time.
Right.
So I want someone to go to the White House and say, look, we're going to protect that border. I'm tired of Texas taxpayers picking up that tab. We really need to be serious about this issue.
Right.
I want someone who will embrace the oil and gas industry and understand it's the backbone of not only Texas, but the backbone of our economy in this country. We've had a president who has turned his back on the border, who has a target on the back of the oil and gas industry, and it's not good for, those 2 issues are not good for America. Third, I want a president who recognizes in Texas that not only have conservatives campaigned, but conservatives have proven we can govern efficiently. I mean, we had the most conservative Senate, the most conservative legislature, not arguably, in the history of the state, and the best session. So that shows conservatives can do the job. Washington needs to follow the Texas model, and I want a nominee who gets that.
Are there people in that race who you could not support? That's become a standard polling question.
Sure.
Who you can't support?
Oh yeah, Donald Trump. If he gets in, and Chris Christie, and a whole other.
But how about Jeb Bush? Jeb Bush. Interestingly, Jeb Bush has bonked against the conservative end of your
he's
party.
Not running.
As of this morning, June 15th, he's announcing. So effectively, he's in. Yeah. Jeb Bush is going to run, and in a lot of conservative circles, Jeb Bush is found wanting. Are you prepared to put your Dan Patrick seal of approval as a conservative on Jeb Bush?
I'm not putting my Dan Patrick seal of approval on anyone as we sit here today.
But you could support Jeb. I guess my point is you could support Jeb Bush in a way that you couldn't support Chris Christie.
I'm going to support whoever our Republican nominee is.
Even if it's Chris Christie?
You know what? No matter who it is, I'm reporting the Republican over Hillary Clinton or Peter Liberal O'Malley, who looks like he's trying to imitate a Putin walking around with his bare chest showing off his muscles. I mean, it's kind of crazy. Every picture I see of the guy, I mean, I'm thinking, is he trying to be Putin? What's this deal?
Well, Secretary Clinton, last question on this.
Hillary Clinton and O'Malley or anyone else or Elizabeth Warren will be a disaster.
Right.
We cannot sustain 8 more years of Democrat leadership in the White House.
It is not news that Dan Patrick will support the Republican, but that's good.
And Chris Christie's not going to win.
Secretary Clinton is in Austin, in fact, today, and later today is going to give a speech in Houston in which she's going to talk about voting rights. And in particular, she's going to be critical of Texas for restricting voting rights, and is going to call for, among other things, a 20-day early voting period nationally in every state. I don't know how much you like federal mandates, but a 20-day early voting period, weekend and evening early voting. Do you think that we have a voting rights or a voting access problem? We have a terrible voter turnout record in the state over the last 3 cycles compared to the other states. Do you think that this is an issue that ought to be on the table in the next election?
No, I think we have 14 days of early voting. We have mail-in ballots for seniors or people who are traveling and aren't here for the election.
Yeah.
We have voter ID, photo voter ID. I think our election system is just fine. I'm proud to be part of that as a senator.